OFB TV viewers, John Keeley here, live from Verizon Center in the aftermath of a 3-2 shootout victory by the Capitals over the Carolina Hurricanes. It went into an overtime and ultimately into a shootout because of an Eric Staal goal with 2 seconds to go. So a lot of high drama here. I have the pleasure of having Greg Wyshynski with me from Puck Daddy, Yahoo. A lot of drama here tonight, Greg. The Caps had the Canes where they wanted, 7 seconds to go, draw on their own end. Dave Steckel, who's money in the zone, I thought he got beat badly on the draw, and then Eric Staal's right there in front of the net where maybe a really big clearing out defenseman would have helped the Caps. So he pots it. So, I mean, what did you think of the game tonight?
I thought it was an extraordinarily fun game. Well played. They're well matched. It didn't exactly have any atmosphere. We were sparring back and forth in the elevator about if there was a divisional playoff format in the NHL and these cats saw each other every year in the playoffs, it would have been electric because it was that kind of game. But being that it's 1-8, there's no really history between the teams. It was just sort of like, meh. Plus it's a Sunday afternoon. The Staal goal, though, Staal beat Steckel on the face-off. Then it goes straight to the net, and you're right. I think it was Poti who he shook the check off, and maybe if there's someone who can match up physically with him, you're right. Maybe it's a different scenario, and there's no shootout.
The debate we've been enjoying in Washington for the last 5 years in terms of Alex Ovechkin being the best in the world has been with Sidney Crosby in Pittsburgh. I'm wondering this fall if you think we need to add a third name, Steven Stamkos. You watch a lot of the league. What should we in Washington and maybe the folks at Pittsburgh be acknowledging about Stamkos in terms of where he ranks with those guys?
Well, first off, I think obviously we've seen a sea change. I mean, Sidney is now the goal scorer. Alex is content on being Adam Oates, evidently, for Alex Semin, which is fine. The Stamkos thing is, he deserves to be in the conversation. He's a very special player. I don't think he's quite as complete as Crosby is as far as his ability to play in different situations. But the thing about Stamkos that I love is that he's filled the role that we all love on the power play, that Brett Hull, I can get a shot off no matter where I am on the ice kind of thing. And what we're starting to see, I think, overall in the league is you've got people kind of putting him in the conversation, but we don't really know where he fits because we're so trained by the NHL to talk about Sidney and Ovi. So where does he fit? You've got the Sidpublicans, you've got the Ovicrats, and I've been told now we've got the Stamkatarians, I believe, would be the other party. So
they're great to watch.
Yes.
The other topic I think is really emerging here in Washington. We're about almost a month to the day from the Winter Classic. When this game was announced, we thought, great rivalry, maybe the best in pro sports. Then HBO gets involved.
Right.
Tell me, I mean, you talk to a lot of people, a lot of media around the league. I mean, is there as much hype and build-up for this game as it seems to me, maybe more so than any other Winter Classic?
There will be when the HBO thing starts. I mean, we're still kind of a ways off before we have to really get 0 hour as far as the hype goes. Again, I think that we're dealing with a Winter Classic where it's about the matchup, it's about the star power versus being about the venue, which is always a tough thing. I mean, Wrigley was special. Fenway had its own sort of charm. This is a football stadium, and it's a new one at that. So from that aspect, it's a different deal. The HBO thing is going to push this thing to the stratosphere. It's going to entice a fan who wouldn't normally watch it to watch.
I agree totally.
And the Sid Ovi thing is obviously part of that as well. And people bitch about it being these teams. Bottom line is that it's the last Winter Classic before the next television contract for the NHL. If you want the NHL to make some dough in the next contract, getting the ratings as high as you possibly can in the Winter Classic, because the Winter Classic is, I think, the best television property they have, is essential. So I've got no problem with the NHL going all in on this one with Sid and Ovi and the Caps and Penguins in that game.
Hey, they hate us. We hate them. Their players are acknowledging it. What's not to love about this game?
Oh, you have to love it all, don't you?
Right. Let's wrap it up here. Caps fans are excited. Their team's #1 in the league, but there's been some really inconsistent play of late. What should we be thinking as play heads into December?
Well, I think you should be thinking about what might come down the pike in a trade. Anyone who's watched this team knows, or anybody who's read the blog knows, I think that a defensive defenseman of some veteran ilk is a good thing for this club and would certainly increase your Stanley Cup chances. A second-line center. They seem to be pretty happy with the personnel here. I happen to think that maybe finding one on the open market would be a good thing.
A veteran?
A veteran of some sort, yes. But overall, I mean, Boudreau talked about it tonight. I think you want to see where the chips fall in this lineup and whether or not he's going to keep on mixing up lines and mixing up personnel. Does he really have 14 good forwards? Are we really going to see a Semin, Backstrom, Ovechkin line going forward when you're playing in crunch time? Or does Ovechkin wind up on another line because he wants to play left wing? Boudreau wants to play him on left wing instead of right. I mean, These are sort of the things you want to see as you progress. And will this whole thing still be in flux in the playoffs? And will that be a detriment? I don't know.
Hey, you've been generous with your time. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Happy holidays to you,
and
sir.
everybody should be reading Puck Daddy at Yahoo Sports.
It's true.
For OFB TV, John Keeley, thanks for watching.